Welcome to Our College, Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. Goal 5 of the Ivy Tech Strategic Plan is all about making Ivy Tech a great place to work. The team for Strategy 5.2, which is Creativity and Innovation in Action, has been working on a crowdsourcing initiative. We have several people with us on the podcast today who are going to talk about this initiative, what we've learned that you might be able to apply to your own practices, and what's next. So let's meet our panel. First up is Leighann Recton. Hi, Leighann.
Hi, Kara.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with Strategy 5.2, please?
Sure. I am currently a department chair on the Lawrenceburg-Batesville campus sites. And my role in today's podcast is that I am serving on the Strategy 5.2 committee. And I'll explain a little bit more in depth on that later on. But in serving in that capacity, that means that I have been part of innovation. And we actually have an innovation beta space on our campus that we've not been able to use for a little while. But it's really exciting to be a part of all of the different creative, innovative things going on. And I love being on this team.
Excellent. And thank you so much for serving on Strategy 5.2. We love that when folks take a lead role in those strategy teams. Next up is Amy Lutzel. Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do with Ivy Tech?
Yes, I am the wellness director at the Ivy Tech Evansville campus, and I've been in this role for over 7 years now. And I head up anything wellness and fitness on our campus, which today I'll be kind of talking about how we have taken all that virtually. And it's fun being creative, so I'm excited to talk about that and share some of the things we've been doing.
Excellent. You guys have a fantastic Instagram account, among many other things. So I have enjoyed following that quite a bit. So we'll, if you shoot me the details on that, I'll make sure to include that in the show notes so other people can follow.
Okay.
Next up is Marta Belt. Hi, Marta.
Hi, Kara. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do with Ivy Tech?
Once again, my name is Marta Belt, and I've been with Ivy Tech for about 10 years. Just celebrated my 10th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I am an associate professor of communication. I started with the college in career development and moved into academic advising, where I was the director for a while, and then I've been on the academic side of the house, I guess, teaching for about 6 years. So really love what I do. And I spend a lot of time doing things with students too. I'm involved in SGA and try to bring career into my classroom. I just can't get it out of my blood, I guess. And then I speak quite a bit on our campus and then at other campuses across Ivy Tech about table etiquette, dining etiquette. And that's been a lot of fun to do.
And that's going to connect to what we're going to talk about today, which is awesome. Very good. And last but not least is Becky Bishop. Hi, Becky.
Good morning, Kara.
How are you today?
I'm great, thanks.
Good. And I should say a special thank you to you and to Marta and Leighann, who are all here on your break. So thank you for recording with us while you're on break. Becky, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do here at Ivy Tech.
Okay, I am currently the Dean of Arts and Sciences and Education in Fort Wayne. And I, like Marta and Leighann, am a communication person. I'm an associate professor of communication. I've been with Ivy Tech I just celebrated my 10th year as well. So
congratulations.
Right.
Thank you.
Very good. So we're going to start with Leighann. You already alluded to this in your introduction a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to give us a little bit of background on Strategy 5.2, what the group has been doing, and the shift that we had to make that has actually led to this podcast because of COVID-19, some of the good things that are coming out of COVID-19.
Yeah, great. I'm very excited to talk about this because we were in the middle of thinking about this shift prior to the pandemic, and it just kind of helped propel us forward in a different direction. So Strategy 5.2, when it first began, it's always been focused on innovation, and it's around faculty and staff. So it is important to point out that this particular strategy doesn't necessarily include students, although we hope that by helping faculty and staff be innovative, obviously the end result is for the students. So we started with innovation spaces on different campuses. And I mentioned that earlier that in Lawrenceburg, we have a beta site. And the idea was that ultimately every campus would get one of these beta sites. And it's great. They're physical spaces that help promote people to think about things in a different and unique way. But of course, with the pandemic, we were all thinking about things in a different and unique way. I also want to go back to the serendipitous connection of how this came to be with what we're doing right now, because we used to have Innovation Day. Most people that have been with the college for a few years will probably remember that. We would have one big day where at first there would be a call for people to put out problems and solutions to those problems. And so then if they made it to the final round, they would go make a pitch, like a Shark Tank type of pitch, and put their innovation forward, and then different ones would be selected to come to fruition. So I made a pitch in 2019 at Innovation Day that we would change Innovation Day, that we wouldn't do it where we were doing the problem and solution, but instead implement what's called crowdsourcing. Most people are familiar with crowdfunding, where you're going to send something out and try to raise money. I'm blanking on some of the popular GoFundMe.
Like a GoFundMe,
yes.
Or there's one just specifically for teachers too, which I'm blanking on the name of.
Well, yeah, and most people know about those because you give money. Well, crowdsourcing is similar, but it's ideas. And so instead of people coming with the problem and the solution, we send out one problem and then we crowdsource for solutions to that one problem. And what we decided on Strategy 5.2 was, well, I still had this funding that I got from the Innovation Day, and we were like, how are we going to use it? So we decided, let's take advantage of this opportunity to see what people are doing across the college in the pandemic to be creative. We didn't want to use the word innovation only because sometimes that's intimidating for people. Like, well, it might not be innovative, but it's different for me. So we just wanted to ask, what are you doing that's different in this time? And hopefully there's some connection with some outcomes. And so we sent out a survey. Hopefully everybody listening remembers getting that survey. We didn't say we were going to do anything with it except to share the ideas. And so our ultimate goal was really just to see what happened. And I believe we had over 50 responses to the survey. And we decided, let's go ahead as a committee and rank these individually, good, better, best, and see what happens. And so who we have with us today sharing are some of those ideas that came out in like the best of the best. And so we decided we wanted to recognize them and that creativity and that innovation, especially because it came from an altruistic place. Again, they had no idea we were going to perhaps reward them in some capacity. And so hopefully being on the podcast is one reward. And then we did reward them with a gift card as well. So we're really excited. Can't wait for everybody to hear some of these ideas and to share even more moving forward. And of course, this doesn't end here. So we'll see where we go next with innovation.
Excellent. I loved reading through all of the ideas, and I'm so excited for folks to hear from the 3 participants on the call today. So let's dive into that. So I'm going to ask Becky, Amy, and Marta to describe your idea, how you came up with it, and why did you decide to submit it as part of the initiative? Because it was just hey, tell us what you're doing. So who wants to go first?
Yes, I can.
Thanks, Amy. Go for it.
Well, as you know, I'm with the Wellness and Fitness Center in Evansville. And, we have not only a full-fledged fitness center, but we also do group exercise classes. We have a pet therapy program. We offer health coaching. We have a variety of different things, and we usually do different incentive contests throughout the year. So we decided once we went virtually, we can still keep some of these things going. Because you don't need, and this is something we always preach to people, is you don't need a fitness center actually to exercise and stay fit. So this was our chance to really show people how you can still stay fit even at home, even when we were during the stay at home order, things that you could do. So we decided to start a Facebook page so we could do our classes live. So anyone could partake in those and do it from home. And it kind of started with, workouts that don't involve any equipment. But then gradually we would add, little, pieces of equipment, and we would, make suggestions on things you could purchase and wear and things that are not very expensive, just to add more to your fitness toolbox. So we've done that. We've been able to continue to do health coaching, as I can do that via Zoom or phone for whoever would want to reach out for that. Our pet therapy program has continued. We've had things we've done on Zoom where we've had a lot of the pet therapy volunteers come on with their pets, maybe do some tricks for us, talk about how they got involved in pet therapy and the process of getting your pet certified, which is something we never really had covered. We would talk to people a little bit about it, but usually they just come to campus. Everybody wanted to visit with the animals, but they could actually get on there and explain what the process is. And we also did one where we had all the Ivy Tech students and employees on introducing their pets. So that way we took a new twist on pet therapy. So everyone because everyone wants to talk about their own pet and be able to share that. So that was kind of fun to do. And then we've also continued offering like our incentive contest. We did something in the spring called Spring into the National Parks because everyone was stuck at home. So this was kind of combining not only wellness and fitness, but also traveling virtually where they could visit the different national parks. And so if they exercise so many minutes, that equals so many miles on the route that they were traveling. And then we would provide information on the national parks to kind of educate them and provide photos, of that and videos. And then we also had bonus opportunities where they could earn extra miles, like if they were to camp in their backyard, like set up a tent, do just, fun things like that because they're stuck at home. We're trying to come up with things for people to do, even with their kids too,
Yep.
Since everybody was at home. So we would do things like that. We have also done a video series of the different trails and parks in and around Evansville, even within an hour, so people can realize, getting outdoors to exercise is a huge thing right now. I mean, just getting out in nature helps your mental health. Staying active is good for you. And we really feel like, self-care is so important right now, which is why we wanted to continue to offer as much as we could and variety for people, just because everybody's different in what they like to do. So we've done that just to give people ideas on things they can do to continue to be active.
I want to go to the Evansville campus.
That's awesome.
Oh, we need to get this at all the campuses.
I know.
Isn't that cool?
I want to see some of
my
the trail
gosh.
video. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and we have a YouTube channel, and that's where we post everything so anyone can access it. So, yeah.
If you'll send me the link for that too, Amy, I'll stick that in the show notes. That's great.
I will.
Becky, let's talk about your idea.
Okay, so this was during that additional non-instructional week when we first decided to go virtual. And there were many things that were put on my plate when we made that decision. The first one was to be sure that every student had the needed information about the transition to virtual, what that would look like, that it was consistently communicated to them. And we also needed to be sure that that information was in each Ivy Learn shell in some consistent manner. I mean, we got a lot of messaging from Kara and from campus leadership, but we needed to be sure that messaging was housed in some consistent, reliable way. And there were lots of changes coming down the pike during that week. We were learning about additional grade opportunities and student supports, not to mention technology and access needs that needed to be addressed one at a time. So it couldn't just be one messaging loaded into the shell, but it was an ongoing conversation with individual students. So with all of that in place, I knew that there was no way for the chairs to be able to respond to all that was going on that week and do a quality check on all of their sections, specifically those taught by adjuncts. I mean, in arts and sciences in Fort Wayne, we have 49 full-time faculty and twice as many adjunct faculty. So I wanted to offer some kind of ongoing support to adjunct faculty and to communicate what that support would be to the entire Ivy Tech community, because we know that advisors get questions sometimes that they can't easily answer, and they go in looking for information and they're not sure who to send that question to. And this comes from all over the community. So with all that in mind, I knew that we needed to have a simple way for anyone in the Ivy Tech community to find also faculty availability. This is another constant struggle. When are you in your office? How will I contact you? How is that different when we've gone virtual? I mean, silos at Ivy Tech are a real issue, considering the size of this organization, that specific functions are attached to a variety of work functions. So this is magnified by going virtual. So what we did was all adjuncts were assigned a full-time faculty mentor, and that mentor was added to the course in Banner, which gave them access to the course in the Ivy Learn. We created a checklist and we gave that to all full-time mentors. So they would go into the course, they would contact the adjunct, they would say, hey, I'm your mentor. Let's work through this checklist to make sure that this shell is updated the way it needs to be. The full-time mentor logged into the first Zoom meeting before it began and helped the adjunct to walk through that process. And then the mentor, we really decided to use white pages. White pages was the way that we published availability for full-time faculty. So all of our full-time faculty modified their white pages to include their teaching schedule, their office hours, who their mentors were. Some did some fun things, like they added photos, bios, their favorite music, maybe research interests. Some included links, Zoom links to their specific office hours that were, persistent for that time. And so that white page was kind of fun because it gave the full-time faculty the opportunity to form a connection according to what they were comfortable with. Some had very limited information, some had a lot of information. So this worked really well because I shared with everyone, this is who you can see. I shared with leadership on the campus, this is who you can see who is helping out that adjunct faculty. So if you need immediate help, here's how you can find that information. And, I was told from my boss in Fort Wayne, look, what I don't want to have is a bunch of students saying, I just don't know how this is working. So when we had that extra non-instructional week, what was the goal? And the goal was to create that support system. Everyone was concerned about their health, of course. It was a scary time. So we needed to be sure we were very specific. And then as soon as the support system was set up, then those faculty were free to go and work remotely for the rest of that week. And that goal was really, really invigorated the whole process.
That's awesome, Becky. And I think we don't use white pages enough. In fact, I bet several people listening to this don't even know what white pages is. So I'll put a link to it in the show notes and some instructions on how you can update your profile because it's pretty simple.
Right. It's very simple. People are like, oh no, more technology. I'm like, no, this is easy. Just toggle on your name.
Simplicity. We need that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That is awesome. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
Becky, did they stay connected with their mentor after that? Like, have you noticed any ongoing connections?
So that's a great question. A lot of our full-time faculty weren't teaching this summer. So I really haven't been able to follow back with all of them. But you know what? I have not gone back to ask that question. So I most definitely will. We have used mentors before to do syllabus checks and to do classroom observations, but this was really a much larger approach. So I will ask them that. I don't know. I suspect they will. And there probably were some mentor connections that weren't great. So maybe we'll, tweak those if we do this again in the fall.
That's awesome. All right, Marta, let's hear your idea.
Well, we were getting ready for our spring etiquette dinner on campus. It is a joint effort between ECEC, which is Career Coaching and Employment Connections, I believe, is that student development. Our development director joins in, and then I'm involved because I'm the speaker every year. And we do this, we try to do it every semester. So we were trying to get ready for it when then all of this, all the changes hit with spring break and the extra week and all that. So we were having a meeting once we got kind of settled to try to figure out what we were going to do. Are we going to cancel it? Were we going to just put it on hold for a few weeks and see what happened? And as we're sitting there having a discussion between our four or five people on the call, I said, can we do it virtually? What about, we've all become these Zoom fanatics. I said, let's see what we can do. And so that started the conversation. And it was really an interest. We decided, let's see if we can do an etiquette dinner and so then there was a big, long discussion. Well, we can't have food. How are we going to get food? Because when we have an etiquette dinner, a big piece of learning etiquette is actually doing hands-on, because you can talk about it, but it's a lot more fun and it sticks a lot more in the brain if you actually have a place sitting in front of you and that kind of thing. So I remember kind of saying, flippantly, well, maybe we could get students to pick up food somewhere. And that just started this big ball rolling, because we were all in a very scary time. It was a couple of weeks after. We were really concerned about our students because we live in a smaller area of Indiana. We have a lot of very food compromised students. And so it became bigger than just the etiquette dinner. It became getting a meal to our students. And that was really cool too. I kind of get goosebumps talking about it. And it was really neat that we were able to provide them with food from a local restaurant and coordinate all of that. We and actually make it happen. And what the neatest thing about the whole process after we actually made all of this happen is that families were involved also. And that was the greatest outcome out of this etiquette dinner that becomes, we're going to learn about table manners. Learning about table manners was wonderful, but it was also learning that that our students could share this with their children. And that was really, really neat. And their children or their significant others and that type of thing. So it was really interesting. And we were able to what we did was we partnered with a local restaurant and kept it very simple. And they were able, it was spaghetti, so we could get it very inexpensively. And they could give us a lot for, one serving really could almost serve two people. So we were able to give students servings for two, which really could almost feed four. And it was salad and spaghetti and breadstick and that kind of thing. And when they drove up, the restaurant had it all ready for them. They had to do their orders ahead of time and sign up online. But when they drove up, we gave them a Ziploc baggie. The person in charge of student development on our campus, Barb Sigmund, she went into campus and with mask and gloves and everything else on. She made Ziploc baggies of plates and a knife, fork, and a spoon and a napkin for four, and our handout. So she would put it all together in a big Ziploc baggie. So not only did they get their food, but they got their utensils and the things we were going to learn about, and then their handouts when they picked up their food. So, and what was really neat was also that it would happen at like I said, a little bit of a scary time. So, this was like probably week 3 or 4, I can't remember. And I think it was really a time when it gave everybody a chance to connect with others in more than, because I think people were starting to feel the pressure at that point too. So.
Excellent. That is so cool. You all started to talk a little bit about what you learned from the experience, but I'd love to hear a little bit more and dig into that a little more about what you learned and what your students learned from the experience.
If you don't mind, I'll just keep rolling.
Yeah, do it.
So, some of the feedback we received was not only did they learn about table manners, but once again, they were able to see that they could do other things. I mean, similar to what Amy was talking about with fitness, they could do other things than just sit around and watch TV, and they then could practice some of this together. And it pulled the family, families were having increased family time at the time. So this gave them even more to be able to have some additional structure to their family time. So that was kind of an unexpected outcome, is that gave families more that they could do together. It was another unexpected outcome is that I think it lifted spirits too. People were just so positive afterwards. Mm-hmm. And I think that was something that we didn't anticipate when we thought we were going to do this. So it's interesting that something we do every semester, which we enjoy doing. We changed the format a little bit, but it really just had a larger impact, I think, because of where we were at our time. And something we're actually hoping to do now, we've been in conversations with other career coaching offices, is trying to do this across the state. So we're trying to do virtual etiquette dinners along with other campuses and make it a larger undertaking. So.
Very cool. What else?
I would just like to add that, I have found, we've had several people comment, students and employees that have been taking advantage of some of the offerings we've had, just saying how they never really realized just how important all those things are, and not just the fitness and exercise, the yoga, the meditation, the other self-care tips. We've provided things they can do at home, whether it be coloring or being creative, doing art, just things that they can do. They just have realized how much of a great coping tools those things have been, and have been very appreciative of it. But to me, and it's nice to hear that, and I'm glad that it's benefiting, but I thank them for partaking in it, just because we feel like, we are here to help and provide assistance. That's what we want to do, and that's a passion of mine. So that's just an added bonus to know that people are benefiting, and I think they've realized now that they've had the time to spend doing these things, how much it has helped them and has gotten them through these difficult times.
Absolutely. I have finally almost developed a meditation practice as a result of this whole stay-at-home situation.
Awesome. So. Wonderful. That's great.
Are you going to continue using this practice, or, let's say we get back to, and I'm going to put normal in air quotes, whatever normal looks like in a bit, are you going to make changes to normal as a result of this?
When we talk about the etiquette dinners, and like I said, we like to do them on campus at least once a semester. We try to do it once a semester, except for summer. But it's not always conducive for our students, and the timing. Our students have jobs and all different kinds of things. I think it's important to have some face-to-face interaction, but I also think there is not any reason why we couldn't keep this up and offer it as an alternative. And then with the other side of also, there's also food involved, which, I think is a plus for a lot of our students. So,
yeah. We know from the Real College survey that many of our students are food insecure, more than 30%. So anytime that we can feed and nourish them is important.
I agree.
Well, I can speak to the use of white pages. So I kept talking about this when we made this decision to use it in the spring. And honestly, many people didn't even know what it was, Kara, as you alluded to earlier. So I kept bringing it up in every meeting I was in. We're using white pages. Look at white pages. Search me. You'll see what we're talking about. Search yourself. Search these people. And after about the third time, then people began to recognize the value of it. So now going into the fall on the academic affairs side of for the Fort Wayne campus, everyone will be updating their white pages, not just the arts and sciences faculty. And I really think that that's an invaluable resource. Simple, easy to find information.
It is. Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool.
I definitely think we'll continue to keep up a lot of these methods, even once, our department opens back up, just because, especially the live classes, because, they're going on anyways in our group exercise room, and all we have to do is just go live. And it's something we had never done before. And I'm kind of like, hey, we should have been doing that all along, because anybody that can't get down there for it, or if they, it's posted on our Facebook page and we put it on our YouTube channel. So if you can't be there live, you can view these, yoga classes, strength training classes anytime. So I know we'll definitely continue that. And, even the health coaching, that can continue to be done via Zoom. Now we know all about Zoom and have gotten familiar with it. There's just so much we can do with that. So I absolutely think we'll continue a lot of these things virtually too.
Excellent. Very good.
The one thing I have to think about with the etiquette dinner is how to get a good shot of the table. I had a ladder and I had twisty ties with the camera and in my dining room, and it was all, so I do have to improve, the shot in my dining room.
So Marta, it's funny because my best friend works at another institution and she also does the etiquette dinner for her students. And she's like, it's going to involve a ladder and there are going to be like, I'm going to get a crane. Like, so totally understand.
I was like, how do I get the camera up above the table so they can see the plate and the knife and the fork and the spoon why I was in my dining room, I don't know. I could have done it at any table in the house, but in my brain, it was like dining room.
It has to be there.
And,
right.
But I tell you, my daughter-in-law took a picture and it looked like I, should have had something hanging from the chandelier.
As you guys think about this, we're looking at least another semester of uniqueness, I guess is what we'll call this, for faculty who are, or staff who are just still feeling just nothing but stress about having to do things in new ways. What tips would you provide them about these experiences and how you embraced all of this technology and all of this new opportunity?
When I remember the week, but right after spring break, and it was so intense. I'm not sure I've ever had that intense of a week in my entire career. And I've had many crazy times, but it was so intense. And I think some of it was the learning curve on some of the way we were going to have to switch into new things. And the one thing I was amazed, as I sit here and pat myself on the shoulder, I was pleased with myself that I could embrace a lot of the new technology, and I was able to learn it, and I was able to actually to use it and use it effectively. And the one thing I'm taking away, several things, is one, I know I can do it, so I need to keep learning new things. And that's the one thing I'd kind of let slide. I was so busy with so many other things. Every time something new would come along, I'd kind of back down and be like, oh, I have to learn that too, and so that's the other thing, is I know I can do it. So I'm going to continue to learn new ways of doing things. And then the opportunity to be able to share with my colleagues some of the new things I had learned, helped them learn too. So I think we've got to continue to learn and to share. And I think that was a big thing that came out of this for me personally. So
I think I would tell the faculty to trust themselves, to trust their instincts. They're content area experts. They spend a lot of time in graduate studies, but more than that, no one has a more working knowledge, a more intimate relationship with our students than our faculty. And so they have to trust that that's at the core of what they do, to make sure that those students learn and those students' needs are addressed. And yeah, this has been a trying time. The stress, as Marta was saying, during that extra non-instructional week was really intense. And I guess faculty have come through this recognizing if their students felt that same intensity, and that by trusting themselves, by having some network in place, for us it was these mentors, that we'll get through it.
I would just like to add, taking it one day at a time and realizing we're in a pandemic. This is new to all of us, and like Becky said, it is stressful. It's a stressful time. Making sure your basic needs are met, and anything beyond that you can do to take care of yourself. I'm realizing we're all in this together. We're all having our struggles, and just learning to be gentle with yourself.
That is such a perfect place to end, is just to remember to always be gentle with ourselves. Very good. So I want to remind everybody, we end every episode with a call to action. And so first of all, I'm going to tell you to be gentle with yourself and to have confidence in your abilities and to learn new things. Our team gave you some great calls to action. And also, I want to encourage you that this is part of the outgrowth of our strategic plan, one of our teams, as Leighann talked about at the top of the show. So if you have interest in getting involved with one of the strategic plan teams, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me and I can connect you with the right folks to do that. We would love to try to find a place to help you connect with your passions and interests. We have strategic plan teams related to almost everything we do here at the college. So if you have interest in that, please feel free. I want to thank all of you for listening to today's episode of Our College Your Voices. And I especially want to thank the members of our panel, Leighann Ruckton, Amy Lutzel, Marta Belt, and Becky Bishop. Thank you again to all of you. And a huge extra thanks to Becky, Marta, and Leighann for recording on your break. Sorry, we'll let you get back to it here in just a second. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNM Tweets. Today's episode was produced by Alan Decker and Justin Daymeyer. They are the co-leads for Strategy 5.2. So thank you both to Alan and Justin. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu. It's a great place to reach out if you have show ideas or questions about the show. You can also do that by leaving us a voicemail at 317-572-5049. If you're an Ivy Tech faculty or staff member, you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community where I share most of the episodes each week. And we have some other ongoing conversations about things going on around the college. It's a great resource. Our website is www.ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode provided by Becky Campbell, Sarah Ferguson, and the Ivy Tech Community College marketing team, and our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music and post-production services provided by the incredibly talented Jen Eads at the Brassy Broadcasting Company. We will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.